Welcome to Planning for the Future, the podcast.
Welcome to the show. We're sitting here with Billie Miles of Miles Financial Group. Welcome to the show, Billie.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
So you call yourself a safe money specialist. So what does that mean?
Great question. You know, our focus has always been on helping retirees and pre-retirees keep their money safe, keep their assets protected from everything from market volatility to taxes to unnecessary fees, whether that be hidden or indirect fees that you may pay. You know, all of that falls under the safe money umbrella, because quite frankly, what we found is that most people don't know either how much risk they're taking, what their tax exposure is or what it will be in retirement, and, you know, what fees they're paying inside their portfolio. And so when we go in and do a full-blown retirement asset analysis, we uncover all of those details and put it together in a report that we call the all-season portfolio that shows our clients how not only to keep their money safe, but also how to make sure that it lasts for the rest of their life.
You know, those hidden fees, everybody hates those things, man. Everybody hates hidden fees. And if you can help somebody save money on that, right there is something that can change somebody's whole portfolio. I mean, there's people that if they've got a lot of money out there and they're probably paying, thousands of dollars in fees that they don't know about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when we ask clients and, in our initial discovery process, how much are they paying in fees? The typical answer that we hear all the time is, oh, I'm paying about 1%. And I would say that's probably what most people believe, because that may be what their broker or their advisor told them that they were paying. What they don't realize is it may be true that you are paying your advisor 1%, but there are also additional fees inside your mutual funds and inside other different types of assets you may have within your portfolio. And so when we go through and pull out those statistics and pull out the data, on average, folks are paying anywhere from 3 to 4% in fees, most of it hidden that they never knew that they were paying. I'll give you an example. We had a client come in October of last year, and same situation. He thought he was paying about 1% in fees. Well, we went back and did a 10-year analysis of his account value, and we found that over the past 10 years, he paid over $300,000 in fees and never knew it. Never knew it. Why? Because it's not shown directly on his account statement. But where his portfolio value at the time he came in was at $700,000, we were able to go back and show him factually why it should have been closer to $1 million in that same time frame. So that absolutely blew his mind. And when you see that information, you realize that you're paying all of these excessive fees and you don't have to. It calls you to take a second to really think about what direction you want to go in from here on out.
Yeah, $300,000 in fees, that's as much as some people have to invest.
Exactly. That could be the difference between retiring or staying retired. And, so it really doesn't take much to get this information. It's just a matter of most people never knew to go look for it. And so we use proprietary technology that allows us to go in and uncover this info and make it transparent. And so clients know exactly what they were paying or what they're currently paying and exactly how much they'll save by working with us.
Planning for the future when it comes to retirement and long-term care is totally different than it used to be. It's a difference between car insurance, and car insurance is great. Everybody needs car insurance, but it's only really useful if you get in an accident or if you get, somebody breaks into your car, things like that. Something happens. With the way plans have changed when it comes to long-term care and retirement planning, you've got a lot of, what did they used to call it? Either you use it or lose it. Now it doesn't go away. You can use that money some way, somehow, and you can pass it on. You can buy a house, whatever you want to do. Just retire comfortably with it.
No, you're absolutely correct. And, our parents and grandparents, they lived in a different time. And so they had different resources and different opportunities available to them. And, as you mentioned, it was kind of a use it or lose it type of scenario. And either one is not good. So, you want to plan for long-term care or the possibility that you might need long-term care at some point in the future, because statistics say that 7 out of 10 of us, a full 70% of seniors 65 years or older, will need some type of long-term care in their future, whether that be in a nursing home, at home, or in some type of assisted living facility. The facts don't lie. I say that all the time. People lie, but numbers don't. And so the facts say that the majority of people will need it at some point. And so then the question becomes, well, how do you pay for it? And, what you described is, what we feel is kind of the old form of paying for long-term care insurance. I call it a dinosaur, because you pay a premium for a traditional long-term care insurance policy, and a couple of things happen. One, as you get older, the cost of that policy can, and in most cases will, increase. So you're throwing money out of the window, because the second thing that happens is if you never use it, which is what you hope, right? You hope that you don't have to go into a nursing home. You hope that you're not a part of the 70%. But if you don't use it, which means that you achieve your goal, that you stayed healthy, you end up losing all of that money that you gave the insurance company for the last, 15, 20 plus years. And so the use it or lose it option, it just doesn't really make sense for the average retiree. And so in today's world, that's not the case. If you need to use it, if you're part of that 70% and you need some type of long-term care, well, there are options available to you now where you can have that money guaranteed to pay out for the rest of your life, to cover your long-term care benefits. And you can have it pay out 100% tax-free. But the other side of it is, if you never need it, if you do stay healthy and you live a long life and never need long-term care, you keep all your money. And if you pass away, it passes to the next generation. It passes to your spouse, or passes to your kids or grandchildren. You keep 100% control at all times and still have protection and peace of mind.
That's huge. That's so huge, because that old antiquated way just doesn't make sense anymore. Now the goal is to make your money work for you. Like I've heard it, getting $1 to do the work of 4. You want to make sure that checks keep rolling in, that you keep getting checks and paid on the money that you have invested, right?
Exactly. If you can earn money on the money you set aside for long-term care and ultimately decide that you want to use that money for something else, well, that's the best of both worlds, right? Because you've prepared for a rainy day, but you've also put yourself in position where you can call an audible. You can do something different and go a different direction with those funds. When we look at the cost of long-term care today, here in California, the cost for a private nursing room is over $10,000 a month. For a semi-private room, it's over $8,000 a month, actually $8,700 a month. So, these are costs that have to be planned for, and you don't want to take the hope and luck strategy, meaning you hope you get lucky strategy. That's not what you want to do. What you really want to do is plan for the worst, but hope for the best. That's a better strategy. Planning for the worst, making sure that you have something in place where you can still earn interest on your money, you can still keep it 100% liquid, and you can access it tax-free for long-term care needs, but you hope for the best that you never have to use it, and you can do whatever you want with that money or pass it down to the next generation. I just think that makes a lot more sense.
Absolutely. And you can make adjustments just because they've made that initial investment. You can move things around and change it as their life changes as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Think of it like having a savings account. When you put money into a savings account or an emergency fund, life continues to go on, but you have that money set aside in case you need it. But if you need to make adjustments, and maybe you had earmarked those dollars to purchase your vacation home, your retirement home, or maybe you earmarked it to help pay for your grandchildren to go to college, or for your next vacation, whatever it may be. if you need to make changes and decide to do something different with the money, you can do that because it's sitting right there inside your savings account. Well, this works the exact same way. If you need to make changes and you want to use it for another purpose, you have the freedom to do so. There's no restrictions on what you can do or what you can use the money for. The only difference is $100,000 sitting inside your savings account is just that. It's $100,000. But a $100,000 sitting inside your long-term care savings account could be worth $200,000, $300,000, or $400,000, 100% tax-free. So that's the difference. You're the same money, you have the same choices and the same freedom, but now you just have more flexibility and potentially more money to use in case of a long-term care need.
If you've got that opportunity to do that, and I get why people say, well, I've got my insurance policy, I've got my savings account, and I've got my 401ks, and that's my long-term care plan. But if you can take and put it into whatever you might be working with on somebody that's going to help get them that money tax-free and almost 4 times the amount of what they can get, that's amazing and really shows you the difference between what it used to be and what it is now.
Yeah, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. And what we found, Brendan, is that most people are just not aware of it. People aren't talking about it. It's one of those things that, I had one client I asked, I said, well, what's your plan to pay for long-term care? If something were to happen to you, what would you do? And he said, well, before I go in a nursing home, just shoot me. And I said, okay, well, that's one plan. I don't know how your wife or kids may feel about it, but okay. So, but in all seriousness, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan, and you need to have something in writing, something that you can count on, and to know that you can, you don't have to purchase an expensive life insurance policy or an expensive long-term care insurance policy, or for that matter, that you don't even have to spend down your existing assets. I tell clients all the time, you don't want to use good money to pay for a bad problem. And that's what happens if your plan is to drain your 401k. We've seen these long-term care events literally drive people into bankruptcy because, again, in California, you could spend easily $100,000 to $150,000 a year just to pay for long-term care coverage. So if you're in a nursing home for, on average, about 3 to 4 years, you're talking, between $300,000 to $500,000 potentially that it could cost you. So how long does that 401k last? And if let's say, for example, you're the one that needs the care, but your spouse doesn't. He or she is still living at home. They're still doing things as they normally would in their lifetime. But if we had to drain your 401k or the total assets combined for both of you to pay for care, then what is that going to do for the remaining spouse? How are they going to survive? How are they going to maintain their standard of living, their lifestyle, if all of the money was used for a long-term care event? And, that's an unforced error. It just does not have to be that way. There are some common sense things that you can do to protect yourself, protect your assets, and protect your future to make sure that long-term care is not something that has to keep you up at night, but that you have a plan knowing that it'll be taken care of.
Yeah, it's that peace of mind that everybody needs. And there's many nights, me being a father of 3, my wife, there's many nights I've tossed and turned about a lot of things. And if that's one more thing weighing over your head, stress is a big deal. Yeah. And it's so easy to get started. People tend to be apprehensive and afraid sometimes. They're like, oh, I'm not ready for that, or I don't know that. And, they don't understand. Like what you were just saying is, think about this. So it's taken them their whole life to build up that 401k or whatever they've got saved, that $300,000 saved their whole life, and that can be knocked out in a year or two. So you've just worked 30, 40 years of your life to earn that money that you're going to blow through and become nursing home poor in 2 years. And then, heaven forbid, you have to go on to Medi-Cal, because then you